Best financial decisions I've made this year.
What's the most amount of money that you guys have sold in revenue in 1 year?
1.4 billion.
The auto industry's recession and deflationary spiral is getting even worse.
Okay, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what you normally see on this channel. We're going to be talking about some of the best financial decisions to make, whether it be from my own experiences, looking at other people's experiences online, along with some of your comments from my older videos, because a lot of my channel has been some of the worst financial decisions, whether it be car payments, credit card debt, doom spending, the list goes on. And you can watch those videos for entertainment or to learn from other people's mistakes. But I thought it'd be a good idea to make a dedicated video just talking about some better decisions to help you more. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll use them for future videos. But the first one we're just going to lump in together because most likely you've heard this a million times, and that is the live below your means and save a whole ton. So real quick, we could talk about the recommended savings, anywhere from 10 to 20% of your income to save for retirement every single year. We have the Roth IRA, 401k, high yield savings accounts, and you should probably have 6 months worth of savings for all of your monthly expenses for any sort of emergency, whether it be, medical emergency or possibly getting laid off. I mean, you've seen how common that has become over the past year or so. And you have a million of these charts and graphs that you could see online, seeing the amount of money you would have by the age of retirement if you saved a certain percentage of your yearly income. But again, most likely if you're watching this video, you've seen this a million times before from a lot of other financial YouTubers. But I do want to say probably one of the easiest ones to start off with is a high yield savings account. To me, it almost seems like it's the gateway drug to saving money and starting to invest more.
I'm 31 years old, and one of the best financial decisions I made in my 20s was opening up a high yield savings account. Hopefully you've heard of one already by now, but if you haven't, it is essentially a savings account that has higher interest rates than ones that you can access through traditional brick and mortar. It's the best. That's the best. You got to do it.
Because it's very easy to open. It's just like opening another checkings account, but because of the interest rates today being pretty high at around 4 to 5%, you could actually see your money grow relatively quickly. So when people who have never invest or save start actually seeing their money grow pretty quickly, that will kind of open them up to more investments in the future instead of those extremely low percentage returns at the 1 or 2% maybe. But seeing that 4 or 5% could open a lot more people into investing in their future and saving a lot more money. Now, the next one we're going to be talking about is one that helped me a lot during my reselling business. And if you can take advantage of it without overspending or doom spending or getting yourself into debt, it could actually make you a lot of money. And that is exclusively using credit cards for their rewards, whether it be points or cash back. You could also get miles for flights. I mean, anything that isn't a debit card that would just literally take money out of your bank account and you pay for it without any benefits. I know for some people who have basically shopping addictions that credit cards are a very bad thing for people. They get into massive amounts of debt because they just believe it's free money until the end of the month, and then they don't have enough money to pay back their debt, and then it just starts snowballing with all the interest and gets worse and worse. But if you can get past that, you could get a lot of free money from these credit card companies. Now, I actually made an entire dedicated video on one of my old channels talking about how I was getting over $1,500 from just opening up new credit cards that had intro offers. When you just spent a few $100s in the next 90 days using that credit card, you'd get an extra offer for $200, $300 along with a 2% cash back on everything. Now, a lot of credit cards are variable, anywhere from 1%. Some items could be up to 5%. So if you're really good at credit card hacking, you could get even more than the base 2% cash back. But that's what I use, at least right now, for a majority of my purchases. And especially during the days of reselling when I was buying Yeezys and Jordans, and each one of these shoes were $200 each, $220, $250 each. That extra 2% definitely adds up because I would still resell those items and make a profit and get an extra 2% cash back on all of those shoes. And doing that over and over again for years made me a lot of money. And it could do the exact same for you. You don't have to be a reseller like I was. Everybody's buying groceries. Things are getting more expensive. You're paying more money for everything. So those extra rewards could really start racking up. We have a comment from one of you guys, my older videos. I used to use my credit card for everything. I get up to 4% back on items, ends up being almost $1,000 in cash back each year. I pay it off in full every month. So I mean, again, if you're responsible enough, it's like me telling you, hey, do you just want an extra free $1,000 a year? And who would say no to that? It is just free money. So if you do have the discipline to not buy everything in sight, I would definitely look into it more. But that kind of rolls into the next topic, and that is avoiding a lot of the consumerism social media. Now, we looked into it a little bit more in one of my previous videos talking about beauty gurus, and there are all the makeup type of influencers, and I didn't really know much about it, obviously, because I'm not looking up makeup tutorials or the latest fashion or outfits or any of that. But a lot of these people have just turned into either their entire content being consumerism or just walking billboards for these companies sending them products to try to get you to buy. And that doesn't just mean makeup products and clothes and shoes. That could even be someone like me not watching any car YouTubers anymore. A lot of the space is just buying another car and working on this car, restoring old beat cars, putting giant turbos in it. It's always more and more and more. So even though you're watching these videos for entertainment, I can't avoid the fact that watching these types of videos makes me want to have a really nice car. So it's not just the people who unbox products for a living and show you the newest, latest beauty products that are gonna clear your skin and be the greatest thing on the planet. It could still be niches like the car community, like the tech community. That's another big one, that the newest, greatest tech comes out every single month and it makes you want to just buy more and more. So if you could avoid that, whether it be on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, I think it would start shutting off that part of your brain that subconsciously wants more, wants that new product that this influencer saw and they reviewed and they loved and they thought it was the best thing ever. And especially when we're talking about very, very big influencers, they could have brand deals lined up all the time. So you don't really know if it actually is genuinely the best thing ever to come out for this specific product. They could just be saying that, and then within a couple weeks they have another company, a competing company, also sponsoring them, so they talk about their product. And I do want to say that being sponsored by a specific brand or having in-video sponsors isn't inherently bad. I know for some people, at least on YouTube, their content is not well liked by YouTube, so all of their videos will get age restricted or demonetized. And it's not even just because it's extreme content. We're talking about people who might curse too much now. So those in-video sponsors will help pay for them actually making those videos. And that I understand. At least my big issue with that is something we've talked about in previous videos, where some of these sponsored brands are a little shady and they have scammed some people. So I think the vetting needs to be a little bit better for in-video sponsorships and brand deals. But overall, I don't think it is a bad thing. I just believe that if you constantly watch these types of YouTubers, it will make you start wanting to consume more. We have another comment from one of you guys. Honestly, I'm so grateful to my mom. She's always taught me that the only things you should be in debt for are mortgages and maybe a car, student loans, which is a trap that a lot of people fall in, and of course, emergency health situations. But main lesson is, if you can't afford the new iPhone or vacations, choose cheaper options or save up. Living in debt is scary and often not necessary. And switching over to the next topic, I feel like a lot of people will purposely put themselves into debt for kind of unnecessary reasons, because another solid rule to live by is to not spend more than 10% of your net wealth on a car and 30% on a mortgage or rent. Now, I will say right off the bat, it is much harder now for the mortgage and rent part, because how expensive everything has gotten, whether it be trying to buy a new house now that the average is over $400,000. I mean, same thing with rent. If you live anywhere near some sort of city, it seems like a pretty bad situation now. So I know that 30% is very difficult, but if you can manage that, it will definitely help you out in the long run. But the 10% net worth on a car is something I believe more people could do, but they don't want to do it because of, I don't want to say their ego, because then it just makes it look like these people are all bad. But when you finally start seeing things like this on the news, it makes a lot more people want to buy a car that is still very overpriced.
The auto industry's recession and deflationary spiral is getting even worse. A Cars.com report found that demand for new cars was down by 26% in July, while the supply of new cars was up by 45%. So you know what lower demand and higher supply means: lower prices, or that deflationary spiral. So if you've been holding out for that new car, keep waiting because prices are going to keep falling. Let's face it, more and more people sitting out of the new car market was bound to happen with how unaffordable cars have become. The same Cars.com report showed that the US auto industry has lost over 750,000 cars that are priced below $30,000 since 2019. And remember, the average price for a new car is around $50,000. And let's not even talk about interest rates. Now the auto industry, despite itself, is having to put more focus back on cars that are more affordable. Because of course, while prices are starting to go down, they're still not low enough for many people.
So, I mean, like he said, cars are around $50,000 now. So if you wanted to take that rule of 10% of your net worth, you need to have $500,000 worth of assets. And I would say that vast majority of people that you're seeing drive around on the road in a brand new SUV or a nice full-size sedan or a pickup truck do not have over $500,000 worth of assets. And because of that, I've been able to make entire videos talking about ridiculous car payments, and then people are surprised that they live paycheck to paycheck or can't afford to put a down payment on a house because they have a car payment that's $500, $600, $700, $1,000, $1,500 a month for something that just gets them from point A to point B. Because even with prices falling right now at dealerships, you still have clips online of people just getting destroyed by these people. We've had one that I've used in an older video that is a woman who bought a 2024 Accord with 19% interest rate. And I thought that was so ridiculous that I did put it in the video until I found an Instagram post that is just unbelievable. There's somebody that ended up buying a new BMW with almost a 30% interest rate. The car payment you could see is $1,000 a month for 75 months, and the original loan amount is around $32,000. And then if you go into the comments, the top comment here is paying $73,000 for a $30,000 car. That's how you beat them, king. So I mean, the interest rate there, he's paying more than double for this car. It's just so ridiculous that, like, I hope it's fake. At the same time, some of the things that we've seen online in my past videos, I wouldn't really put it past too many people. But overall, not having a car payment at all is definitely the best situation you could be in.
Probably one of the best financial decisions I ever made, and I thank myself for this every single day, is that I bought my car outright. You might be like, Abigail, I can't pay for my car outright. Okay, let me rephrase. I bought a used car. Did it drain my savings for a little bit for the time being? Yes. However, I don't have a car payment. I don't have a car payment. And luckily, my boyfriend also drives a really, really old car that he has paid completely off. So basically, neither of us have a car payment except for our insurance. And it is so freeing. Listen, it gets me from point A to point B. Is it brand stinking new? No. Is it like the most expensive car in the world? Absolutely not. Do I have a car payment? No. Like, you do not have to buy like a brand new car just because like all your friends are buying brand new cars. My dad really taught me this, but growing up, I think I wanted like an iPhone one time and went to go buy a new phone, and I was like, I'm just gonna make monthly payments on it, whatever, I can do that. And my dad was like, you can't afford that. He was like, if you can't go buy it outright, then you can't afford that. And like, rude, but he was right. Like, the moral of the story is you don't have to buy a brand new car. I know it's all over TikTok. Everybody is like getting a new car and a new house and all these things. And my car is like a 2015. It has been used before I had it. It's clean. It's well taken care of. It gets me from point A to point B, and I love her, and I probably will never buy a new car because I don't want a car payment. Me and my boyfriend rocking our old car, saving that money.
A comment from one of you guys is something that I don't think a lot of people know about brand new cars. I got rid of my sports car for an older pre-2013 regular car, $200 a month, no invasive tech, no hidden GPS trackers, and will be paid off in a fraction of the time of a new car. So a lot of brand new cars all have the giant infotainment iPad screens with everything that you need to do with the car basically being in one center console. So first, if that breaks, that's going to cost you a massive amount of money. Second, there have now been cars that have been putting features of the vehicle behind paywalls, literally DLC, like it's a video game, just to be able to use active high beams. Certain features in the car, I mean like the heated seats like BMW tried to do, behind paid subscription walls. And there's no way to get around that with new cars. Same thing with GPS trackers. A lot of these newer cars are taking your information, your braking percentages, your speeds on the road, selling it to your insurance companies, and them raising your premiums because of how you drive on the road. And it's not just the people who are driving 120 flying down the roads, very dangerous drivers. If anybody jumps in front of you or tries to cut you off and you have to slam on the brakes, they'll take that braking data as you not being a safe driver and still upping your premiums. This does not happen with older used cars. This is all happening now with brand new cars. So let alone the prices being around $50,000 and people paying way more than 10% of their net worth to be able to afford their brand new SUV. But now it's costing you even more because they're selling the data that the car is storing and making you pay more money for your insurance on the car. Now, this one is actually several good decisions that this woman has made. So we'll check out the clip real quick and then we'll go over everything.
Best financial decisions I've made this year. In no specific order, the first one is going sober curious. What I mean by this is I ultimately reduced how much alcohol I was consuming. Not that I was even drinking that much before, but having a glass of wine, having a cocktail at dinner really adds up really quick. There's about a 400 to 500% markup on drinks at the bar. So the quickest way for me to reduce my expenses this summer when I got laid off was just to minimize the amount of alcohol that I was consuming. Second one is pretty similar, but I just deleted the food delivery apps. That was probably the hardest one because I love a self-care moment. I love just eating out and having it delivered to me one day a week. I had to minimize my expenses one way or another, so I just deleted the apps completely, got my butt up off the couch, and I just drove to places a lot more often. And I still think that gas is cheaper than the food delivery apps. So just delete the apps if you're trying to minimize expenses just for a month or two. See what happens. Next one is definitely a privilege, and I understand that, and I'm super grateful for my parents for letting me do this. But it has been moving out of my apartment and moving back home with my parents and then couch surfing in the meantime. Two more, but the next one is Ubering just way less. Living in a city that can be kind of hard. If I have the option to drive and pray to my parking gods that I can find a parking spot, then I'll do it. And the last one might be a little bit of a girl math, but I have been thrifting way more than I've been retail shopping and shopping online. And to me, that's a steal. So that's how I've been still finding some new fall pieces, but at a more affordable price.
Okay, so we have a lot of good decisions to go over. First one, the alcohol one, I've seen firsthand many times. If you do want to go out to eat, clearly it's going to be more expensive. If you try to get a couple drinks for dinner instead of like water or even soda, it's basically like buying another meal on top of the lunch or dinner that you had, because some of these drinks, these cocktails could be $8, $10, $12, and you're getting pretty close to the point of actually just ordering another burger or whatever you ended up getting out to eat. And I don't think a lot of people really realize it, and it racks up very quickly. And I could say the exact same thing with any of the Uber Eats, DoorDash type of apps. I've never understood it. I've never downloaded it because I've seen time and time again that you'll just get a burrito from Chipotle or whatever fast food you end up wanting to buy. It will basically double the price just for somebody else to drive it to you instead of you getting up and doing it yourself. I don't know about you. I don't want to pay $30 after service fees, delivery fees, and a tip for a single bowl from Chipotle. That just seems ridiculous to me. Of course, something that we've already talked about previously is the stigma of living with your parents, especially if you can't live on your own, living in an apartment like she talked about around the city. If you do have the means to do so, it is pretty straightforward that it will save you a lot more money. And I mean the same thing with the Uber in the city. I just don't understand why you'd live in the city. There's just so many negatives towards it, how expensive it could be, because what it seemed like is she already had a vehicle, but it is so difficult to park in the city that she would also have to pay for Ubers just to get to place. That's blows my mind. I don't know why you'd ever live in a city. But then the last one is something that I've also talked about and actively do, and that is thrifting, because it looks like I wear basically the same thing every day, and I do. It is Hawaiian shirts and golf shirts, but if you look at these, this one is a Columbia golf shirt. I have Peter Millar RLX, I have Rhoback, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, tons of different polos, and I've gotten these all at Goodwill for $4.19 each. And if you look at some of the retail prices for these polos and Hawaiian shirts that I normally wear, it could be upwards of $90, $100 a shirt. And I'm still able to wear it now because I got them very cheap thrifting at Goodwill. So another one that I think everybody should at least try, at least in my experience, is to start some sort of business. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be one of the people that are the business mogul, the next billionaire, crazy business people, but one small decision several years ago completely changed my life trajectory, because as I've said several times, for a while I was a full-time reseller, and that all started because one day one of my friends asked me to go hang out with them before Target opened one day, because they were going to buy and resell a Funko Pop of Twinkie the Kid that was a rare limited Chase edition version. And they said it was reselling for $100 on eBay, even though the retail price was only like $9 at the time. I didn't believe my friends, but clearly that did happen, and that completely changed my train of thought, because at that time I think I was working at Costco pushing carts, and that $100 return was basically my entire day's worth, I think even more than a full 8-hour shift of going back and forth pushing carts at Costco constantly. So that completely started all of my reselling business with the shoes, being able to work for myself and still doing it to this day, along with making YouTube videos for myself. I don't have a normal 9 to 5, and just that one little decision has changed my life forever. So I'm not saying you have to go to the same path as me and be some big reseller or start making products and scale and try to make this gigantic company with tons of workers, but any little decision like this could be the stepping stone to getting out of the normal 9 to 5 rat race, or at least making and saving a lot more money than you would normally do at your current job. We have a comment from one of you guys: get a stable job, start your own online home business, watch it grow, and let it tell you when to quit your job, which is exactly what I did. I was just working part-time as a pharmacy delivery driver until around the beginning of COVID, when the sneakers started absolutely exploding, and that's when I decided that it was actually worth it to quit my job and start working full-time for myself. So if you do start adding a lot of these good decisions up, you'll start looking into more and more investments. And I truly believe that your investing journey, especially if you're talking about the stock market, should be very boring, because over the past couple years during COVID, we saw all of that crazy stuff with GameStop and Bitcoin and everybody making millions of dollars within days, weeks, completely being able to retire. But at that same time, you're getting into the realm of gambling instead of investing. If you truly want to invest and play it as safe as you possibly can, you basically just have to put your money into SPY or VOO and completely forget about it for years and years and decades, instead of trying to find speculative stocks or any of the altcoin cryptocurrency, because with the rise of Wall Street bets, we'll see accounts exploding and making millions within a few months or weeks or days, and a lot of people will believe that they could also win like that. I mean, it's exactly what casinos use to make gamblers lose all of their money, because every time you see somebody make $1 million off of crazy plays in the stock market, you have thousands and thousands of people lose all of their money just virtually gambling in the stock market. So if you do want to start investing, please just put it into ETFs. Don't do any of this crazy stuff. Don't look at any options trading whatsoever, or just the Wall Street Bets Reddit page at all. It'll just poison your mind, honestly. I've also seen people end up buying land or property because you've seen a lot of big financial YouTubers talk about it, and because they don't have enough knowledge in the real estate market, they end up buying something that's overpriced or just doesn't have enough demand, and there's still property tax to be paid every single year for the land that you bought or the house that you bought. So if you can't flip it to somebody else and make enough money to offset both the property tax that you have to pay and the price that you initially bought bought it at. It's just a complete waste of money and time. And I'm not trying to say that real estate is a waste of time. It clearly isn't. There are many cases of people online making a massive amount of money.
And how old are you now?
46,
How old were you when you became a millionaire?
34.
What was the best financial decision that you've made throughout your lifetime?
Buy real estate.
Buy real estate.
Yeah, that's it. And then ultimately, you buy real estate. Don't sell it unless you need the money or there's a better opportunity. If there's a better opportunity, use the tax code 1031 exchange to be able to defer your tax. And next thing you know, it's like playing Monopoly. One turns into two, two turns into four, and then you buy hotels.
What industry did you decide to pursue a career in?
I own a real estate brokerage.
Now, at your real estate brokerage, what's the most amount of money that you guys have sold in revenue in 1 year?
1.4 billion.
And what was the best financial advice that you've ever received throughout your lifetime?
You see me smiling because there's only one. Money is like shit. If you leave it in a pile, it stinks. And if you spread it around, things grow.
So of course, many people have made tons of money in the real estate business. However, if you're somebody like me, honestly, who genuinely has zero interest in real estate, it'll make it a lot more difficult to be able to make money because there is no passion into it. It is purely just for trying to make revenue. And I've just become honest with myself that I really just don't care. I'm completely fine with the millennial gray housing that looks clean. It looks minimal. I'm not somebody who loves decorating. Clearly, I made this whole background for you guys. I'm completely fine staring at a blank wall in the background. So for me, honestly, real estate is just not the way to go. I know it is a good avenue to make a lot of money, but a lot of people think that they'll just buy an investment property and it'll just start printing out money for you every month. And if anything breaks, I mean, water heaters, refrigerator, anything starts going south with your tenant, you're the one who has to be responsible for it. It is not the tenant. So it's definitely a lot more work than it actually seems. So the last one we're going to be talking about is something I've seen a lot more over the past couple years, especially with streaming services, but that is the little incremental fees and payments that people are willingly taking every single month because they don't really believe it's worth their time trying to fix the issue or cancel subscriptions. So some examples of what I'm talking about, there are some credit cards that charge you a fee every single month. It could be only a couple of dollars. So when you see it every month and it's only like $5, you're like, eh, whatever. Same thing with streaming services over and over again. You could see that people will sit on Netflix for 45 minutes trying to find a show and they have nothing good on, but people are still paying like $20 a month for Netflix and actively doing it with all the other streaming services. I mean, it seems like there's 100 of them now. Same thing with car insurance. Now, it is a bit more difficult because it seems like everybody's car insurance went up, but the pain of canceling a car insurance, the 30-minute phone call of them trying to reel you back in and then having to shop and search for another car insurance company makes a lot of people just avoid the situation completely. And if you take a lot of these issues and they all start building on each other every single month, you end up losing a lot more money than you actually think. So that's just some of the decisions that I've thought of. Let me know any of your good decisions down below in the comments. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up right now. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and I'll talk to you guys later.